Hey crafters, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Boombox. I'm actually really excited about this one because we're adding sound and lights to it, and it doubles as a handbag. Totally one of a kind sort of gift, and we're gonna hop right into it here. Okay, so I'm gonna break this down into little pieces, little segments, okay? Now what I want you to do is find this piece. It's the only piece that looks like this. And there is a little Roman numeral 1 etched into this here, okay? You're gonna also find this piece here has 3 tabs on all the sides. There's a Roman numeral 2, okay? This piece here. There's a Roman numeral 3 on here. And then this one has 4 dashes in the shape of a square. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're gonna begin by putting this together. This is the main compartment for our bag, okay? And what we're gonna do is just join the sections together. I'm gonna begin by applying glue to this tab here. And you'll notice that there's shorter tabs and then there's a thicker tab. Thicker tab is gonna go on the bottom, okay? So it's gonna go like this. I want this tab with the number 2 on it to be flat against that, which means that we're gonna put this together like this. So you wanna line this up as accurately as you can, just like that. Just nudge that in there. Give that a quick press. We're gonna be covering this up with additional panels. So if you happen to get a little bit of glue that squirts out, don't freak out. It's okay, okay? So 1 is connected to 2. You can flatten this out. This is 3. Okay, we're gonna put glue on the other smaller tab on piece number 2. Just like that. And let's spread that out. Nice and thin, lay that down. Grab piece number 3 and then line that up like so. Make sure it's lined up accurately, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and fold it over onto itself and press down. Okay, there we go. So now 1, 2, and 3 are all connected, one solid piece. Now we're gonna grab piece number 4. Remember, the thicker tab's gonna be at the bottom. We're gonna join this together here like so. I like to flip it around this way and apply my glue this way so that when I spread the glue, my finger doesn't touch this surface at all. We'll flip it back over, spread this out. Remember the thicker tab at the bottom, it's got the little 4 dashes in the shape of a square or a circle at the bottom. Press that into place. I'm gonna go ahead and fold it over onto itself, just like this. Just make sure that everything's nice and aligned. These 2 tabs should be flush. The edges of them should be flush, okay? Now, you can bring this piece over and you can see that these are gonna join right here like this, okay? So what we wanna do is apply our glue to the last short little tab here. Nice and thin. Spread that out like so. And if the assembly went well, you should be able to just drop this right onto the tab. You might need to kind of stretch it a little bit, nudge it a little bit, but it should sit completely flat. There we go. I'm going to take and fold it over onto that tab as well. You can see that it sits completely flat because it is a symmetrical piece. Okay, there we go. And now, it's gonna be a little tricky because we have the little handle there, but it's okay. You can actually kind of let it go out like that, not the end of the world. And we'll take this, flare it out. We're gonna apply glue on the 3 tabs here. It's a lot of surface area to cover, so we may need to go in and kind of clean it up using our little painting method, and that's okay, because it is a It's not the biggest bag, but it is pretty big. Okay, I'm gonna put a little dot or a little line towards the bottom. We're gonna take and spread that glue out to the very edge on all three sides. That little thick line at the edge of the tab really helps. Make sure that the glue stays nice and wet. Get it nice and centered. Just like that, right out to the edge. You may need to kind of nudge this wall in a little bit, maybe, maybe not. There we go. I'm gonna flip it over, press down on the rest of the tab. You have a little hole there that you can get your hand in, which makes it a lot easier. Okay. So this is the main compartment that's going to house your gift. Take a look at your little edges there, and if you have some gaps, it's okay. What we can do is grab some scrap. There's just little scrap pieces of paper that I cut into little strips. And then you can just literally, I'm gonna start over here. I got some gaps here. Let me go a little bit heavier on the glue here. Just slide that right in there. And just apply a little extra glue on these little areas that just are not making the best contact. Seal it up. Okay. Just press and hold that in place. All right, just gonna slowly but surely eliminate pieces as we go, just to make things easy on us. And I do need to go in, and this seam is really bugging me. I need to clean it up by just throwing a little extra glue in there, using my scrap, and then pressing it into place. I can't stand having little splits like that in my seams. Okay, all right, so now I'm gonna grab this piece. Okay, and this piece, this is, obviously we need to reinforce the handle and make it a little bit thicker, which is what we're gonna do here. So this is gonna go right on the back. Okay, and you can put glue either on this piece or directly onto this piece here. I'm just going to do it on here. I think it's a little more stable, easier to work with. Okay, now again, we have a lot of real estate to cover here, so we've got to move quickly. And I'm going to focus on the perimeter first. Because of that. And that's going to go right on the back. Let's match up the handles first. And the rest of it will kind of naturally fall into place. You can put that down on your surface. Press down from the inside. Okay, let's get that all nice and lined up. Okay, let's take a look. That looks nice. All right, so building this handle here. So we're gonna take our black piece, and I've got this yellow that's gonna go right on top of it. You can see I've got a cool little polka dot black that's, it's almost, it's not quite foil. Maybe it is. Okay, this is gonna get lined up, and the inner edge should be flush at the top and bottom there of the main part of the handle. Just make sure you get that nice and centered. Just like that, and like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take this piece and apply some glue to this part of the handle. Just like that. And that's going to get centered right here, so that just that little bit of yellow is showing on the left and right. Just like that. And then we'll take this neon pink and pop it in the center like a little puzzle. Just like that. Okay, now we're going to build another one of these later on as well. Okay, and this is going to get glued on right here, just so that it looks nice from both sides. We didn't really spend a lot of time putting any crazy designs on the back of this, just because, well, we're doing enough on the front. Why complicate things, you know? Okay, I'm going to take and glue that in place. Just like that, onto the existing structural piece. Put that down on your surface. Press it into place, okay, and you can kind of see where this is going. And then while we're here, we have one more piece like this, and we're gonna actually just add this to the inside like this to strengthen the handle even more. Obviously, this is going to be, people are going to be holding this, putting it up to their ears, pretending like they're back in the 80s, cranking the jams, and we did not want this to rip in their hands, obviously. That would kind of defeat the purpose. Okay, so I've got my texture side facing me right now, because I do like to add the texture wherever I can. Okay, and it's just going to go on like that. Perfect. Nice, thick, sturdy handle. Okay, beautiful. You can feel how sturdy that's going to be. All right, so the main compartment is pretty much done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some vellum in place, because we are adding lights to this. Okay, we're going to need this piece here, and there's some additional things that we're going to do too. Okay, so obviously I'm just going to lay these down here so you can see what goes where. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. Okay, you can see where all that goes. Just like that. Okay, so, and this is going to be pretty much out of sight. No one's going to really see it once we put everything and assemble everything, so it doesn't need to be pretty, it just needs to stay put. Okay. If you get a little crazy with the glue here, get it out of your system now, so that we don't mess anything up later on when it comes down to doing the important stuff. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit right here for this piece. Just make sure that you are covering up the cutout completely. Okay. And for this piece here, again, we made the vellum pieces large enough to where you can add your glue around the perimeter without having to worry about it poking in. Did I get that right? I did, barely. Okay, and a couple more here. And now while we have it mostly deconstructed, we tried to minimize the amount of dimensional stuff on here as far as like the knobs and the buttons, but there's gonna be a little bit of work involved in the buttons on top. That's okay, it's gonna give it a nice look. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect these little side structural pieces to this portion here. So what we need to do is just apply some glue, and this is a symmetrical piece, so it doesn't matter which side you choose. Just get your glue on one section of the tabs here. Spread that glue out nice and thin. And what we can do, just to make it easier, is just lay this out flat grab this piece, make sure it's flat, and just line it up as accurately as you can. I'm kind of holding it like this so that I can be super precise. And press that down. Again, this is all going to be covered up. Let's fold this in on itself. Check your alignment. That looks good. Okay. And get the other one in place as well. Like so. Okay. There we go. Press that into place. Okay. I'm going to fold that in on itself as well. Push down again. There we go. Okay, so now we need to take advantage of the fact that this is nice and opened up, and we're going to create our little buttons. Okay, it's just going to be easier to do this now. Okay, and we have a total of 6 of them. I already pre-folded everything. What we're going to do is there are some perfect little triangles on here. These are where you want to apply your glue. You're going to tuck that in and under and just press that into place right underneath the longer little rectangle. Okay, we'll go over to the other side here. Apply your glue, bring this piece in, line it up as accurately as you can. If you need to grab like a little dowel, that's fine too. Grab yourself a little dowel so you can pop it in there instead of trying to get your finger in there, so you can push up against it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here on this other side is just put glue on both of the remaining little triangles and pop them in. These little tabs here that are kind of trapezoid shaped, we're going to use those to connect this to the actual jukebox, to the main structure. But try to get that lined up as accurately as you can. It's a little, it's small, but it's not that small. You'll be fine. There we go. There's our first little button. Okay, and the way this is going to work is we're going to take these and just pop it in like this. Okay, and then these tabs are going to get glued to the inside of the main structure here. And the best thing to do is to anchor it with one of the long pieces first. So I just put some glue on that long piece, and I'm going to press it up again. And you can actually, it might be helpful just to do this flat. Press that down. And take a look here, I'll show you. Okay, you can see that tab is now glued flat onto the inside of the surface. Throw a little bit of glue on the one on the opposite side, fold it over, and then just press that down. Okay. And then we just have these 2 little ones here, 2 little trapezoids. Just a tiny little bit of glue on both of them. Spread them out. Put that down on your surface and press down. And there's your little button. So that's a little bit of work, but it adds to the charm. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to repeat that process 5 more times. You can hang out with me and we can chit chat, or you can pause, do it at your own pace. And then the next thing we're going to do after this, so if you're scrubbing through the video, is we're going to put this together. We're going to join these sections together. So if you're scrubbing through the video, when you see me grab the lights and the mic and the sound module, that's your cue to stop and start watching the video again. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to do this real quick here, get this get these little buttons done. This is probably the most tedious part of it. So just take your time, enjoy the process. This is going to be a really cool little project, I think. I think it's going to be quite popular, actually. I was born in 1982, so I was 8 years old when the 80s pretty much came to an end and the 90s came in. But I do remember, the kids in the neighborhood, probably in high school at the time. I remember boomboxes, and the one thing that really stood out was the really poofy hairsprayed hair on the girls, which, you know, it's crazy how styles change over time. That was definitely an interesting one. And if you look back, you know, in the 40s and 50s, maybe it was just a ploy to sell a different type of hair product. Who knows how that all works, but I do remember that. That was one thing that really stuck out. And I do remember, even as a kid, just my parents listening to the radio, a lot of the music that was on the radio at the time. I don't know, I feel like I speak for humanity when I say that music's like a huge part of our lives. It is for me. I bring a boombox. Well, I mean, they're not really boom boxes anymore. It's all like Bluetooth speakers and stuff everywhere I go, especially on vacation or even if we go fishing. There was a radio station in Chicago back in the day. It was a 97.1 FM, The Drive, and the main DJ there, his name's Bob Stroud, and he just, like, the motto of the radio station was the soundtrack of your life. I doubt that was original. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe he created that, but that's kind of how I feel. There's like certain eras of your life when a certain album came out and you just played it over and over and over again. It reminds you of a certain part of your life. And when I think about the 80s, for whatever reason, I was kind of a sick kid. I just remember going to doctors a lot, and then later on I got hit by a car and I was going to doctors for that. And I just remember a lot of music in the 80s on the radio. Weird stuff. Not weird, but I don't know why, but Wilson Phillips really stood out, and I think his name was Richard Marx. It was a lot of poppy type stuff. My parents were Polish immigrants, so you know the classic rock thing. I don't think they really caught on to that. Didn't really listen to a lot of rock. It was mostly, I would call it pop, I guess. But either way, I think, we had a lot of cassette tapes. I do remember buying cassettes. And now I can't remember if my first cassette, I think maybe it was my first, I think it was. I think my first cassette that I ever bought was Michael Jackson's Thriller. I'm not sure why. I don't know. I loved it. I think I've told this story before during Halloween projects, but you know, as a Polish immigrant coming to this country, no idea what Halloween was, and well, you know, and I think it was kindergarten maybe. They were like, yeah, so it's Halloween, you get to go to people's doors and ask for candy. I was like, what? And for whatever reason, I don't even know who got me into Michael Jackson or how I got into him, but yeah, I'm gonna say that first time I ever earned any money I was with a friend and his mom, and they took us to a music store, and I bought Thriller. I swear that maybe, yeah, I think it was a tape. I think the tape was white. I don't know, but it was the first tape I ever bought. And I think the first CD I ever bought was also a Michael Jackson CD. So, and I still love him to this day. But I'm also a Deadhead. I listen to a lot of classic rock. I like the Dead a lot. And Liesel's gotten me into country a little bit, although I can only tolerate maybe an eighth of the Taylor Swift that she listens to. But yeah, I mean, she's, it was funny, I went to a record shop, actually, while I was looking for props for this photo shoot, and the owner was there, and he told me that he thinks that it's actually Taylor Swift that revived the vinyl industry, because she had mentioned, or I guess she told her Swifties, you know, go buy records. And lo and behold, while I was there, you know, a couple Swifties came in looking for her records. So, man, that girl's got a lot of influence, which is crazy. More power to her. But yeah, I can only handle so much Taylor Swift. Probably because, you know, I don't relate to a lot of her music. And I could listen to music without lyrics all day long. I think I actually prefer the music over the lyrics in most cases. I think that's why I like the Dead. You just listen to a 15-minute guitar solo all day long. All right, almost there. Almost there, just a few more. But anyway, yeah. I know that our dreamers, you guys are as diverse as anyone as far as your musical tastes. A while back, early on, I started Dreaming Tree. I was in the group, and while I was working, we had a little YouTube music party where people were posting links to their favorite YouTube songs, and we were all just kind of hanging out, listening to each other's music. It was kind of cool. And yeah, I was really, really surprised at how diverse musical tastes were. But yeah, I think I, you know, again, being a Polish immigrant, my parents didn't really expose me to a lot of music aside from what they played on the radio. It's not like they grew up with it, but, you know, when I was in junior high and high school, I hung around with kids whose parents were, you know, American. And I think that's where I kind of picked up my musical taste, was more so from them than anything. And again, I think it was around it was high school. High school especially is where I really developed my love for classic rock, 60s and 70s, maybe a little bit of 80s at the time, although I got more into 80s later on, actually, probably more so now than ever, just kind of rediscovering it a little bit. At the time, it sounded a little cheesy, but, you know, with the music they're making today, that stuff was high quality. So anyway, but in high school, my first, my friend, the friend in our group that got his first car, it was a station wagon. We called it the grocery getter, you know, the one with the wood paneling on the side. And at the time, I don't even think that thing had a cassette player. Maybe it did, but it was busted. It didn't have a CD player in there, so we had no choice but to listen to the radio. And this was in the 90s, There's a station in Chicago called B96, played all the pop songs, and we were, I guess you could say we were the stoners in the school, and that pop stuff was just not cool with us. Alternative was becoming very popular at the time, and we didn't really get into that either. So we kind of defaulted to classic rock, and I learned, after about a summer and a half, when a song came on the radio while we were all driving around doing what we're doing, everyone could name that song, and we had this vocabulary of knowledge about so much great music from back in the day. And that's primarily what I listen to now still. There's a few bands that, a few newer artists that I'll listen to, but I honestly, today's music's just not the same. It just doesn't feel the same. It's not as warm. I feel like everyone's just depressed or whining. Everyone's always whining. There's not a lot of storytelling. But as many of you know, like Dave Matthews is probably one of the few modern artists, even though he's technically, I think I heard him on a classic rock station recently. So, it just goes to show where I'm at. John Mayer's one of my favorites as well. Awesome guitarist, lyricist. But so much more music that I've yet to discover, I'm sure. So kind of working my way backwards a little bit in time. And I've got a nice little vinyl collection as well. So that's always fun. But yeah, music is huge for me. Like we took the kids camping over the weekend. I had my boombox next to me the entire time and just playing the jams. Okay, a couple more. So yeah, like I said, this is probably the most tedious part of it, but even though it may seem tedious, it's not horribly difficult. Okay. There we go. And one more. It really helps to put this on your surface. Okay, so I do think I'm going to close this up. So I'm going to start over here on this side, and we want to be pretty patient with this process here. Okay, so I just put a little bit of glue on that tab there, press that into place and hold it. Make sure that it is nice and solid. Okay, and don't rush this part. Okay, let's go over to this side so we can kind of keep that whole top part from flailing around. Let's get that glue off there. Tuck that part in, line it up. Yeah, and so as I meant, well, maybe I haven't mentioned it yet, but I will mention it. Adding lights to this obviously is optional. Adding sound to this is obviously optional. It's up to you, but obviously I think it's cool. I think you should do it. I really want to make it special. Like, where else are you going to find a gift bag like this? You're not. Okay, let's close it up here. Let's start on this side. Throw a little bit of glue on that tab there. And then tuck that in. Let me fold this over real quick. And just line that up as accurately as you can. You might need to kind of push it in there nice and tight. Okay. All the way out to the edge. Here we go. And that just leaves one more little triangular tab. Thin that out a little bit. And press that into place. Okay, so if you are adding a sound module, I would recommend getting some hot glue ready. And for the lights, I'm just going to tape them. Actually, you've done that before. let's straighten this out so it's easier to get in here. Okay, like that. Yeah, the overlays for this, they're just going to go on the front, so we don't need to worry about that right now. But let's grab our sound module real quick. Okay, check this out. This one here, there's an on button, and that is Your Love by The Outfield. I love that song. All right, so you can see here what we're going to do is we need to, this is the hole here that your power button is going to go through. And what I did, we did this with a radio not that long ago. I don't want to glue this down because I might use this on another project someday. You can hot glue this down. This one comes with an adhesive. Okay, it's got like a built-in adhesive. So you can literally peel this off. And I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to foam square this into place. Because like I said, I might want to use this again down the road. Okay. And I have this theory as well that adding this foam might actually, well, it's either going to help or it's not the loudness of the speaker. I'm not quite sure. I never really studied acoustics, so I don't know for sure. But I'm going to pop this right about here so that the sound's kind of coming out of the middle. Okay, this little wire here, we can always tape that down later, but we want this button to show through here. Okay, so let me get my hot glue out. I want to make sure that we get that in there nicely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my hot glue onto the little silver surface here of this little guy. Let's use this as a little stop. Might need to get some more hot glue out. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see. I think we're going to be okay. Get it nice and hot so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just going to go all the way around. Make sure you don't glue the button down, obviously. Okay. There you go. And let's see. Right. Cool beans. All right, so now, let me see here. Yeah, let's get the lights installed. Okay, I have these fairy lights. These also came with the remote. The reason I picked these was because there's a mode where it kind of flashes. They flash and they change colors. I think you have to hold it down maybe. I don't know. It also comes with a remote, so it doesn't matter. And this thing's pretty big. I was actually just going to put this in the bottom of the main bag. And for those of you that have worked with fairy lights in the past, all we're doing is just taking and just running these along the inside, and we're just taping them down in various little sections. And actually, you know what you could do too? We've done this before. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to tape this one down, and I'm going to let this one just kind of free float so that it's right above that speaker. Okay, there's going to be more stuff on the front of this. So you can kind of have it in the middle. It'll diffuse it nicely. Okay, and if you want, you can actually just kind of have this. They don't have to be flat up against your surface. They can be kind of standing up ever so slightly. Just try not to get any tape over the vellum part, obviously, because we don't want that tape showing through the vellum. Okay, and you can put this wherever you want, really. I might actually go. We're just going to work our way around this way. Let's see if I kind of bridge this over. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that, so that's fine. I'm going to bridge this over and maybe put one here. It's up to you how you want to do this. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. We're just adding some cool lights to the inside. Okay, so don't get too crazy uptight about your placement with this. It's supposed to be fun, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Okay. And some of these come in super long lengths, but you can actually trim these. You just cut the wires, okay? So if you bought one that's like way too long and it's like super bright, well, don't worry about it. Just trim some of it off. It's not the end of the world. It's supposed to be fun. Okay. This one's just going to be kind of hanging out over here. And once we actually put this together, if we feel that maybe this light needs to move or this one's too bright or whatever, we can always just kind of move it. Not a big deal. This one, I could even tape this to the inside of the wall here. It doesn't really matter. Wherever you want to put it, it's going to look great. Okay. But I would definitely stagger these or position them closer to where the cutouts are for the vellum, obviously, because that's the only place where the light is going to shine through. Now you could build up a bunch of energy from the lights in non-translucent areas, but you're better off just getting it somewhere where you're actually going to see the light shining through. Gotta let your light shine. I mean, that's a song too. Okay. And we'll kind of position that one that way. Let's take a look from the front. Yeah, it's gonna look cool. Okay. Now with this one here, obviously, I don't know if I really want to bridge that little area, so I'll just tape this down here. And then I can always just point the light where I want it. All right, so you can see what the lights are going to look like once it's all in place. I'm going to put this in here for a second while we get this piece in place. Okay, let me turn this off. It's kind of distracting. All right, we're going to start off by just applying glue to one of these longer tabs so we can get it nice and anchored. Okay, and pop that into place. Make sure it's nice and centered. Oh, by the way, you want to grab this piece here that has the little cutout and those little tabs. These tabs we're going to use to connect this to the main structure. So let's just get this in there first. You can fold this back a little bit so you can press down on the rest of the tab. No one's really going to see this part either, but we still want to make sure that it's relatively put in correctly and accurately and meticulously. All right, now we're going to close this up. Now if it's easier, you can take this and just pop it through the little hole there and apply our glue to the remaining 3 tabs. Don't be afraid to go a little bit heavier since we've got a lot of real estate to cover here and we don't want it drying out. Okay. There we go. Spread that glue out. Try not to get it on your buttons. right? And then go ahead and close this up. I want to make sure that we get it aligned with this side first, the side opposite of the side that's already hinged. Line that up as accurately as you can. You might need to kind of nudge some things down a little bit, just like that. Pretty straightforward. And then work your way around the sides as well. If we have to go in and do a little bit of painting, that's okay. Painting with our glue, that is. But so far, that's working out nicely. A lot of real estate to cover, and that's okay. But that actually went on nice and smooth for the most part. I have one little gap here. Maybe I can still get it to stick. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, it worked. Sweet. Okay, that looks great. All right, so now, okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece, flip it into here. We need the tabs to go through this hole, and we're gonna apply glue to this entire section here to get the face of this onto the main structure. And we may need to go in and just do a little bit of painting with some glue in some of the areas. This won't be as much of a problem if you're not putting sound into it, but make sure those tabs go inside. Okay, there we go. Make sure all 4 tabs are in, get it nice and centered, and then just start pressing it onto the main part of the box. Make sure it's nice and level at the top and side to side as well. Put this down flat. Here we go. Make sure it's nice and even all the way around. There we go. Not bad. And then those little tabs that we have in there, they're gonna give us some extra reinforcement and extra strength on the inside. Now I'm going in here and pressing down on some of the areas here. Okay, so you see the little tab here. I started to put glue on it and I realized that I was doing it backwards, but that's okay. Go ahead and apply some glue to that tab, and you're gonna take it and press it down up against this surface. Let me do it real quick and then I'll show you what it will ultimately look like. We're gonna cover this up with another piece. It's gonna hide the tabs, so you don't have to worry about making a mess right now. If you're getting glue all over the place, have at it. Get it out of your system, because the hard part's pretty much done. There's like one other little piece that is going to be, I guess, a little tedious, but not really. Okay, so you can see that tab that we put glue on. I folded it over this way onto this surface, and I'm just pressing it down into place. And now I'm gonna go over, let me turn this light on, it might actually be helpful now. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so now we have this tab here. I'm gonna fold it down towards me so I can apply glue onto that surface, and I'm gonna fold it over onto that other surface. So I'm just gonna do this real quick so I can show you. Let me change the color. Maybe you can see that. Okay, that tab there, I put it on that surface there, and I'm gonna take it and push it over onto this section here. And I'll try to show you once I get it in there. Maybe I might need to take a photo of it with my camera. A little bit of a tight squeeze, but nothing you can't handle. Boy, it's getting hot in here. Okay, all right, so check this out real quick. I'm gonna show you based on these tabs here, okay? So there's a tab down here that we just glued down, this one right here. Essentially what I did was I folded it towards me and I applied glue to this surface, like this. Okay, you can see the glue on there. And then I took it and folded it over onto the inside. And then just press it down, give it a squeeze. It's gonna give you a little bit of resistance because of that score mark, but that's okay. Just keep pressing until it grips. Okay. All right, so you can see that tab now is glued down. And so we're gonna go over to this last one here on this side. See, I'm folding it down towards me. I'm gonna apply my glue to that. Oops. Okay, you can see the glue on that tab there, right there. I'm gonna take it and fold it over onto the inside. And that's really gonna keep that front part, the main musical part with all the lights, nice and strong and secure. Okay, just keep pressing that tab down until the whole thing is nice and flush. There we go. Okay, so our little battery pack is going to sit in there, and you can see what we have so far. Okay. Let me take this out for a second. All right, so now this part is going to go inside, and it's going to create this little door for us. Okay, so we do need to put our little battery pack through here. Okay, because this is going to go in like this. Let's move this battery pack out of the way a little bit more. Okay, you can actually put this down flat while you're doing this. I'm going to start off by just getting it glued onto the handle first. Okay, so I just have it down flat. Now we are not going to put any glue on the actual door, just on the handle and the perimeter. We're going to slide it in and just glue it down. Just try to get that glue. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Again, don't put any glue on the actual door. It's not going to do anything anyway, even if you do. If you get a little on there on accident, it's fine, but try to avoid it. Let's get some on the handle. There we go. We're going to slide that in like so, all the way down. And again, I'm going to match this up with the handle first. Might help to lift it up so that you can see that it's lined up with the handle. And then push the rest of it down and in place. All the way down. You can flip open the door. It's very difficult for me to show you this right now because I'm basically in a cavern, but I'll show you the end result from the inside here in just a moment. Okay, so you can see here the door is going to cover all this up. If you can fit your battery pack in here, you can. Otherwise, you can just leave it out and let it sit in the bottom of the bag. And then the door is going to close over that. And now what you can do to keep that door closed is put some Velcro dots on there. And one other thing too, if you have any little areas that are not sitting completely flush, just grab some scrap piece of paper, Like I have a little area here where it didn't take. I'm just going to paint a little extra glue right there. And just press that down into place and hold it. Okay. Now while we're doing that, let me flip this back. And you see this little nub here? That's where I'm going to put my Velcro dot. I'm just going to cut one out. Peel off the backing. That'll keep the door nice and closed for us. So that's going to go right in there. And then I'm going to grab my little razor blade. Peel off the other backing. Okay, bring that down. Press that down onto that surface. Okay. Here we go. And that looks pretty good. Okay, got our handle. All right, now while we're here, a couple more things we can do. Let's take our light out for a second. Okay, find the piece that has BL on it, or L. This one has an L on it, right here in the corner. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put glue just on the bottom of this, around the tabs, along the inside, and pop that piece in there. It's gonna help kind of strengthen the inside for us and hide those tabs. Just like that. Put our light back in. And this little piece, again, is going to go on the back of this to reinforce the handle a little bit more. You can see this piece is going to go right here, just like that. So we can do that real quick. Just getting some other stuff out of the way. And then all that's really left to do is just build the face of this thing with all the little details, and that's easy. Okay, so I'm just putting it right on the handle. I've got my texture side facing me, so you can see that beautiful texture. There we go. Just like that. I'm noticing that there's a little bit of separation there between those layers, so I'll go in with my scrap and just paint a little bit of glue in there. That part just did not want to hold, but that's okay, we can fix it. It only takes a few seconds. There we go. Okay. All right, so far so good. We've got some liner pieces, and let's go ahead and assemble the other handle, and we can get that in place. So we've already done this once, so you should be a pro at this. Go ahead and apply your glue to the yellow piece, if you did yellow. Okay. And we're going to match it up here first in this corner. This paper's so dark that I almost can't even see what I'm doing. There we go. Line that up. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, and just like we did the first time, I'm going to grab this piece. That's going to get centered so that we just have that little bit of yellow along the outside. Okay. pop that into place. Make sure you get it good and centered. Press that down. And don't forget your little pink, neon pink strip. It's going to go right in the middle. Just like that. Okay. All right, so now put this down flat if you want, and that's going to go on like this. And it's really starting to come together here, folks. And that should match up perfectly. Okay. So you've got your two handles. You can totally hold it like that. Perfect. Okay. All right, so next up is the face of this thing. And that is this little guy here. Okay. Okay, so we have a gift card holder that's built into this. You can pull these tabs out a little bit so that we don't accidentally do anything weird to them. And we're going to start off with these pieces here. And this is going to go perfectly over this little circle. Just make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, go easy with the glue if you're using the Astro Bright. Okay. And just pop that into place. Again, making sure it's nice and level. I didn't put any markers on this section. That's okay. I don't think you need them. Okay, and then we're going to put this little black piece right on top of that. So this is an easy part. This is fun. We're pretty much done with all the, well, there's one more little thing, but it's not that bad. Okay, there we go. We'll repeat the same thing on the other side for the other little tweeter, as they're called. Okay, and then grab the other little black piece for that. And I'm just squeezing a little bit of glue out of my nozzle. I'm not continuously pressing down, just getting a little bit on there and then just kind of dabbing it all the way around. We don't need to go crazy with the glue here and make a huge mess. That would just be silly. Okay. All right, next, let's do this little guy. Okay, so this is going to go like this, but this is going to go here first. Okay, so we've got one purple for each of the main speakers. Just go easy with the glue. Yeah, and this is a statement piece. This is that special little gift that you're going to give somebody. And it will definitely get some reactions at the party or whatever it is you're bringing this to. They're going to be like, that's paper? That's unbelievable. I guarantee it. You don't see anything like that. And especially if you tell them that you made it by hand. Yeah, got yourself a winner here, folks. Okay, so let's put the black piece on this now. So just like we did up top, nice and easy. Okay, and this is going to go on the outside perimeter. So just a little bit of that purple showing through in the center. For a second, I thought it was the other way around, but I was wrong. Okay. I'm excited to send this to some people once I'm done with it, especially my team, because when we did the prototypes, we didn't actually put music in it. And I think that's really the coolest part, personally, I think, anyway. All right, let's put this guy in place here real quick. Okay, so this is gonna go down flat like this. And then we have a series of little buttons and things that are gonna go inside of this. So this is pretty straightforward. And then that little hole there is actually for a brad, because we're gonna put together a little dimensional volume knob. It's actually going to spin. I know that's, you guys really liked when we made the TV, the fact that the little dials actually were interactive. So we didn't want to make too much interactive stuff because then it just becomes daunting to assemble, but a few here and there I think are pretty cool. Okay, so that's going on like that. Make sure that's nice and lined up. Beautiful. Okay. Now let's take a look at, we have this little piece. That's going to go right here, right over that little cutout for where the brad's going to go through. Okay, so let's get that lined up, like so. Okay. Okay. So now find the 5 little circles. Now yours, I'm not sure what you cut yours out of. We did holographic. Okay, and those are going to go right in there. These little circular cutouts inside of the black area. Just pop those in there. Okay. And it's 2024 and these machines still can't cut perfect circles. What can you do? You would think that we've made some progress by now, but oh well. That's okay. Still get the idea. All right. And then on top of that, we have smaller little purple circles. Okay, just a tiny little dot of glue on that, and then just get that nice and centered on your existing, in my case, it's a holographic. You might be using a silver foil or a glitter, whatever it may be. Okay, pop that in there. And just going down the row here, just getting these buttons set up first. And then we have some little sliders as well. Sliders. That's kind of an 80s thing too. I feel like White Castle, whatever, for whatever reason. All right, let's put our little sliders in place. And there's a few of these little overlays that we're going to put in place once we actually get the face of this on the main structure, and that's because we have little cutouts to help you with the placement of them. Okay, so grab these little cross-shaped sliders and let's get them in place. Should fit in there just like a little puzzle. And there's one that's thicker. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. And then we have some little yellow overlays that are going to go on top of this. Just a little paper piecing to kind of wrap this up. That's fun. Okay, find your little yellow pieces. Getting a little glue gunk on there. It's okay though. There we go. Find the thicker one. or wider one, I should say. It's not really thicker. That one's going to go there. Boy, could you imagine if we did these all dimensional? Oh boy. That would be fun. Yeah, these are way too small to make dimensional. That's why we just opted to make them flat. Gives the impression of, you know, the buttons being there without being too crazy. Okay, now also there's these little yellow pieces here. You'll notice that there's a series of little markers to help you with the placement of these. So let's get these in place. Just do a few little dots of glue, nothing crazy. And just match it up with the little markers that we provided you. There we go. That's going to add some nice dimension to the project as well. There's going to be a total of 8 of those. They'll go on pretty quick. In the meantime, I'm excited to see this thing in action and film it. I know that one thing you could do too, if you're throwing a party of some sort, you could probably put a little speaker in here that's Bluetooth so you can connect it to your phone and just kind of use it as, you know, like your main little source of music and give it kind of a fun, festive vibe. But I think it's a really cool little gift bag. You may say it's a little over the top, but that's what we do here. Okay, so we got that side in place. Let's head over here. Now the little cassette tape portion of this is actually a gift card holder, and that also works. It opens up like it would on a real boombox. So that's really cool too. And you can put a little gift card in there. The standard size, old school ones, not the big ones, but that's okay. Not exactly sure why they decided to make the gift cards so huge these days. I think it's just so they stand out more. Maybe so they don't get lost as easily. I don't know. You can put more information on them too, but everything's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, there we go. And one more. Nice and thin on the glue. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab this piece that we actually did out of holographic paper. And the first thing we're going to do is we need to apply some glue around our little buttons here, because we need to put a little piece of vellum around this. Okay, so just make sure that you cover up all the little buttons nicely, just like that. Okay. All right, and then next, I'm going to put this black piece on there, and you'll notice that that should match up perfectly with the little cutouts on the vellum. So go ahead and start applying your glue to this whole thing. I'm just going to avoid putting any glue around the actual buttons. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, let's get that in place. This whole thing is going to match up perfectly with this piece. I'm not sure how this is going to work with it going onto this holographic paper. It might just grab right away, we'll see. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's go ahead and build our actual cassette. Okay, we're going to start off with this piece. Okay, there's going to be a middle piece that goes like this, and this bottom piece, yeah, it's round on one end and it's got this little cutout here. That's going to go on the bottom. Go ahead and apply your glue and pop that in like this. It's going to fit like a little puzzle right in there. Make sure it's down as far as it'll go. Okay. Now we can take this guy and get that glued into place. Like so. There we go. Okay. Next, we're going to grab this piece, and this is going to go in like this. Just like that. Just like a little puzzle. There we go. And then one more layer up on top. Okay. Pop that in there. Make sure it's nice and centered. Okay, and then next, these look all too familiar. Remember the little trick with the pencil? How you could rewind your tape with a pencil. I think we all figured that out at one point. Okay, that's going on like that. We'll do the same thing with the other one. Super cool. Made a little boo-boo. We need to put these little brown pieces in place. Don't worry about that. Okay, this wider one is going to go over here on the right side, and then the smaller one is going to go on the left side, and that's your actual tape. So it looks like there's tape in there. There we go. All right, next we're going to put this acetate over it. It's going to kind of act like the glass. Okay, and just kind of keep it away from the tape. Okay, this is all going to be covered up anyway, so don't be afraid to get your glue on there. Okay, and just make sure that's nice and centered over the tape. There we go. Okay, next we're going to grab this piece with the little tab on it. Okay, and this is going to get glued on top of this whole thing. So go ahead and apply your glue, but you do not want to put any glue on the tab. Just leave that alone. Okay. And this seems to be kind of peeling off, but once I get this second layer on here and it's making contact with some of the paper, it should be okay. There we go. Press that into place all the way down and around. You can flatten that tab out. Don't worry about it. It's fine. There we go. Whoops. Make sure it's good and centered. Flip it over. Okay, now I'm going to put this one on now. Okay, that's going to cover it up and keep the colors nice and consistent. That other yellow that we have on there, we needed that to be thicker because it has that little hinge on it so that the door swings open and closed. Okay, so this one's just going to go right on top. This one I also inked. There we go. Press that down, and then we have little buttons that we need to put in place. Okay, and just make sure that the fast forward and reverse, that you have the right ones, because I think, well, let's do the other ones first. Then we'll do those last, just in case. Okay, I'm just putting tiny little drops of glue on this. And then you're just going to match that up with the corresponding button. And the cool thing is we're going to have little beams of light poking through those. So even those are going to be nice and illuminated. Just match that up with the cutouts as accurately as you can. What a cool piece. If you get too much on there, just dab some off with your finger. Don't risk getting that glue spilling out onto your beautiful black paper, especially if it's got a nice pattern on it. Okay, here's your stop and eject. That was funny. So I have a record player in my basement, which doubles as kind of our game room. We have darts down there and foosball and beer pong and all kinds of fun stuff. And the crazy thing is with the record player, while you're down there, if you're in the middle of an intense game of anything, sometimes you have to stop and flip the record. I thought that was interesting, you know, the hardships that people experienced back in the day. Yeah, actually I had to do the same thing with a cassette too. It's crazy. Okay. All right, so I got this. And it looks like these work just fine. I think they're pretty much hot swappable. Okay. And someone's calling me. All right, let's get the last little bit on here. There we go. Super cool. Look at that. Okay. All right, now what we need to do before we put this in place is we need to feed this through this little slit. Okay. Feed it all the way through as far as it'll go. And then we need to glue it to the back side like this. Okay, so go ahead and apply some glue here, like so, and press it down into place. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so now, as far as keeping this thing shut, I'm using some Velcro dots. And we decided that we're going to use 3 of them just to make sure that everything stays nice and intact when it's closed. Okay, so we'll put one there, and you get the idea. There we go. Let's just get all 3 in place first, and then you can go ahead and close it up. There's 2. And one more at the bottom. That one right there. And peel off the backing. There we go. All right, now we can close it up. All right, cool beans. We're on the last leg here, guys. Okay, all right, so now what I'm going to do, I need to put the face of this in place. Look at that. That is rad. I think that's what they used to say, rad, right? Okay. All right, so we're going to I'm going to put glue on this surface here. And I may need to go in and do a little bit of painting after the fact, just because, again, working with a lot of surface area here. And if you don't get it perfect the first time, there's no shame in going back in and just doing a little bit of cleanup, giving it a little extra TLC so that everything looks nice. But you see how it's all coming together now. That's the exciting part. And actually, I'm just going to get it on before anything dries, and I'll be more than happy to go around and do some painting to kind of clean it up. Totally fine with that. Get that on there nice and flat. Don't worry about the fact that there's glue popping through these little cutouts, because we're going to be putting rhinestones on there, and we still have a few overlays that we need to put in place. Just focus on getting the perimeter nice and flat and flush all the way around. And yes, I am going to take my time and make sure that everything looks nice and crisp all the way around. But that looks awesome. Yeah, that part's going to need some love. And that's okay, I expected that actually. So here's my scrap piece. And just painting some glue right in that area. And I'm going to press and hold that down and just be patient. That's looking awesome. Now, one thing too, while I'm doing this, the button here that starts our music, I took a pearl and I took actually it's glow in the dark paint, but it was the only like hot pink that I had, and I actually painted it with some paint just because I really wanted it to pop. Like I wanted it to grab attention, like, hey, you're supposed to press me to start the music. Okay, let's go around the bend. Let's go around the horn here and get the rest of this nice and flush. Make sure it's all sitting pretty before we do anything else. I want this to look nice and crisp. Well, especially because it's going on the website. I need to show you what's possible and how nice it can look if you take your time with it, obviously. Okay, there we go. The top looks pretty good. I've got one little area there that I want to clean up a little bit maybe. So let's do that. Okay. And let's check this side here. I got some gaps over there. Like I said, I can almost at this point predict when that sort of thing is going to happen based on how much real estate we have to cover. Getting everything glued into place. Not a big deal. All right, let's not forget about these little accent pieces here that are going to go in these little holes here. If you need to stick your finger in there to help kind of push up on that paper so that you can get it in place, that's fine. And that's going to go super quick. Again, we have one little dimensional piece that we need to still assemble, but it's not hard at all. And then the little holes that we have around these little pieces that I'm putting in place, remember those are little markers for where you can put some little rhinestones to bling this thing out. Okay, we put those there for you so that you can keep everything nice and symmetrical. Okay, so that's going right in there. Got one more over here. That's going to go right there. And these are all the same size. Again, I think it helps getting your finger in there to help kind of really push it in there. Okay, a few more to go. All right, so we've got a few little speaker covers or speaker centers that we need to assemble. We have 4 black circles remaining, 2 purple and 2 hot pink. We're going to take the purple and just get it nice and centered on the larger black. And the hot pink's going to go in the center of the smaller black pieces. Okay, and then just throw a little bit of glue in the center of that, and that's going to go in the center of the vellum. Just do your best to get that aligned as accurately as you can. It's a weird thing that as humans we can kind of like we know how to find the center of things. That looks nice, okay. And now the hot pink on the smaller black. It isn't quite centered. There we go. One more. There's one little piece that I kind of forgot about. I'll show you where it goes in just a moment. Okay, now these little guys are going to go on the tweeters. So don't spread the glue out too far to the edge, just in case when you press down, we don't want it squirting out onto the vellum. I want to keep that looking as pristine as possible. Okay, so there's one little piece, this little ring, this little donut, that I did not put in place, and that is actually going to surround our main power button for our sound module. Okay, so that's just going to go right here like a little puzzle. Let's just pop that in place. Should fit in there perfectly. Okay, and we're going to put together the little dimensional piece that acts like the volume dial. Okay, and you'll notice that one of these gray pieces has a little L on it. Now the first thing we want to do is take this piece and run a dowel through it. Don't rip any of the little teeth off. We just want to start kind of making it round. I'm placing it between my finger and the dowel, lifting it up about 90 degrees and running it through. Okay. And then what we're going to do, you'll notice that there's a little score mark here. We're going to apply our glue just before the score mark. And then on this side here, we're going to put some glue right up to the very edge. We're going to wrap this around. You're going to take the other end and just line it up with that little score mark. You want to butt it right up to the score mark and just press down. And we're going to have a little circle. And it would help if I made sure that I kept it round. My apologies. It's kind of hot in here actually. It's almost, with these lights, I've not upgraded to LEDs just because, well, I need a lot of light. They're really expensive. Okay. Just rub off any excess you may have on there. Make sure it's nice and round, just like that. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, on one side, we're going to push the teeth down. We're going to take our little L piece. Okay. We're going to open up these teeth while the other ones are flat. And we're just going to pop this in there. Push it all the way in as far as it'll go. You don't want it to pop out though. Okay, and then very slowly here, just a few at a time, I'm going to apply glue to these little teeth. And go ahead and fold them over. You can put them down on your surface and push down from the inside. You can use a little dowel if you want. That's fine. Okay, there we go. And we'll lift up, probably do the rest of them. They're so small. They only need like a little tiny dot of glue. And don't worry if you're getting glue all over the place. We're going to be hiding this anyway. Okay, just push that down. Like that. The dowel really comes in handy here. There we go. Okay. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to cover up the back of this with this other gray piece. So you can go ahead and apply some glue to the whole thing. I'm going to hit this with my finger just to get it all the way out to the very edge. Then take this piece and pop it right on top so that the holes match up. This is going to be up against the actual radio or boombox, so you're not even going to see it, but still want to try to get it as accurate as you can. Okay, and now to get this anchored in place, with, I'm going to take a brad, pop it through like that. We're going to feed it through this little hole here. And we're going to spread the brads out. Get them nice and tight in there. There we go. And you can see it spins. Now what we're going to do is fold this down. And we're going to close this up with this piece. And that piece is going to go right on there like this. I'm going to aim it towards me a little bit so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so go ahead and apply glue to these tabs, just like we did on the other side. You can go a little bit thicker with the glue here. Spread that out with your finger. Try to make sure it's nice and round. Okay, we're going to put this piece on here. Just pop it on. It should be pretty sturdy because it's being held in place with that brad, and just continue pushing down all the way around, making sure that it grips nicely. And I would not let that go prematurely. Make sure that it's fully set. Look at that. How cool is that? Okay, and then we have this little black piece that's going to go right on top in the center. Just like that. Give that a second to set. All right, now one other thing that I did was I took a little pearl and I painted it neon pink because I wanted to use that as my main power button. Okay, so you want to make sure that the pearl that you use fits in here enough to make contact with the button, but isn't so big that it doesn't fit in this hole. It's just pretty much a standard size pearl. I'm going to clean up some of the goo that's in here. Hot glue goo. And then we're going to take, and I'm going to hot glue it down. And again, don't forget to put your little pearls here in those spots. And while my hot glue fires up, that little black piece is kind of coming undone. Not sure why. Probably didn't get enough glue on there. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to literally put, I should probably test this out first. Make sure that my hot glue is flowing okay. Just a tiny little drop of hot glue right on the button. That's all we need. Give it a little twirly twirl. Grab your pearl that you painted. Pop it right on there. So it sticks out enough to where you can actually access that button nicely. Okay, cool. So what's left? Not much really. Actually, we have these two pieces that are going to go on the side, and that's just going to help kind of make this look a little more seamless. Okay, so what we can do is just apply our glue to this entire side here. And then a little bit down the center. Get that nice and centered. If you want to take and hit this entire boombox with ink, now that it's all together, you can do that if you want. Totally up to you. That was just the light. It's okay. Don't worry about that. Or the battery for the light, I should say. There we go. And just press that into place. Gives it a nice seamless look. Okay. Make sure it's all making good contact. And do the same thing on the other side here. And that will also kind of reinforce the side for us and make it less likely to kind of bow like it's been doing when I grab the handles. So they'll look more, you know, like it's made of like a plastic or something. Okay, just make sure that that front edge sits nice and flush, the bottom is nice and flush, top nice and flush, and then the back. All right, so that's gonna do it. And you can see here that I've got my little pink button, perfect. Press the button. It's kind of loud actually. So, let me turn this off. So that's going to do it for our retro boombox. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Hit that bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new project, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our That 80s bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would our community. So head over to your Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 46,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So hope you had a blast, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.